Imagine you're in the middle of a sacred prayer, eyes closed, fire burning bright in front of you. You're channeling your devotion, whispering sweet nothings to Ahura Mazda, Zoroastrianism's big boss. Suddenly, halfway through your chant, a messenger barges in, yelling, "New empire, new rules. We worship differently now." You open one eye. What? Welcome to 224 CE, when Persia decided to hit the cosmic reset button. Goodbye, Parthians. Hello, Sassanid Empire. The new Persian regime that showed up like that one relative at a family reunion who brings a megaphone and starts reorganizing the furniture. It wasn't just a political shift. This was a total spiritual makeover. And if you didn't get with the program, well, you got out. This is the wild, weird, and fire-lit story of how one ambitious man built an empire, branded a religion, and accidentally kickstarted one of the earliest refugee crises of organized faith. With drama, betrayal, and a whole lot of holy fire, buckle up. History's about to get hilarious. By the 3rd century CE, the Parthian Empire was a hot mess. Imagine an old laptop running too many tabs, sluggish, glitchy, and ready to crash. For centuries, they had ruled Persia with a kind of laissez-faire attitude that made them either the chillest overlords or the most disorganized rulers ever. Their central government was so loose, it made a slinky look rigid. Their nobles were constantly at each other's throats. Their satraps acted like mini-kings, and the Roman Empire kept knocking on their door like an annoying neighbor asking for sugar, and then burning the house down. No wonder morale was low. People were yearning for stability, structure, and someone who could tell them what to believe in without sounding like they were just winging it. Enter Ardashir I, stage left, with a sword, a cape, and a copy of the Zoroastrian holy texts in his back pocket. This guy wasn't just another rebel prince. He was a full-on brand makeover. Ardashir I came from humble-ish beginnings. His dad was a local ruler, and he grew up in the province of Fars, aka the I Can Do It Better region of the empire. Ardashir had ambition dripping from his mustache. He looked around and said, "You know what this empire needs? Me." And unlike most would-be usurpers, Ardashir had a plan, and surprisingly good PR. He didn't just conquer, he evangelized. He told people, "Follow me and we'll bring back the good old days of Persia." You know, the Achaemenid era, when everyone had style, the roads worked, and nobody had to Google which god was in charge. He also had a flair for storytelling. According to Ardashir, he was divinely chosen, like literally written in the stars. Zoroastrianism, which had kind of been lounging in the corner for a few centuries, suddenly became Persia's hottest philosophical trend. It was like the empire switched from whatever goes to there is only one cosmic order and I'm its CEO. With charisma, clever military campaigns, and a truly meme-worthy beard, Ardashir took down the last Parthian king in 224 CE. Boom. Sassanid Empire launched. Persia rebooted. Now that Ardashir had the throne, he didn't waste time with subtlety. He turned Persia into a Zoroastrian showroom. Temples popped up like food trucks. Holy fire became the hottest interior decor. And priests? Oh boy, priests were back in fashion, strutting down the spiritual runway in full regalia. The new empire wasn't just about land and taxes, it was about cosmic alignment. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, was in. Dualism was the spiritual policy. Good versus evil. Light versus darkness. Morning coffee versus existential dread. Zoroastrianism had it all. Ardashir and his successors built a state where religion and politics were tightly braided, like a friendship bracelet you couldn't take off. Fire temples became the centers of local life. Rituals were standardized. Heretics were, well, encouraged to reconsider, or else find themselves reassigned to somewhere very far and very quiet. It was also during this time that the Magi, the Zoroastrian priestly class, became power players. Think of them as spiritual lobbyists with a direct line to the king. Zoroastrianism had gone from fringe to official faster than you could say holy flame. Here's where things get dicey. Once Zoroastrianism got VIP access to the palace, it became selective. Imagine a bouncer at a celestial nightclub turning away anyone not on the divine order list. Other religions, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, had all coexisted in the region during Parthian times. The Parthians were like, sure, believe what you want, just don't burn down the tax office. But the Sassanids? Not so chill. Over time, the pressure mounted. If you weren't on Team Ahura Mazda, life got uncomfortable. Some religions were taxed more, others faced restrictions. Temples were shuttered. Philosophies were banned. This wasn't outright persecution. At first, it was more like aggressive persuasion. But for many, that was enough to spark. Communities packed up their scrolls, family relics, and possibly some very confused goats, and fled the empire. Thus began the Zoroastrian refugee movements. Ironically, the religion that inspired empire building also inspired people to flee it. These Zoroastrian refugees didn't just vanish into the historical void. They spread out across Central Asia, the Indian subcontinent, and even into China. Some became respected teachers and advisors. Others settled quietly, planting seeds of tradition in new soil. In India, a group later known as the Parsis preserved Zoroastrian fire worship through centuries of migration, trade, and tea. In Central Asia, Zoroastrian iconography merged with local customs. And in China, fire altars appeared in the strangest places, often next to Buddhist temples, like an ancient religious roommate situation. These exiles became cultural pollinators, sharing their mythology, philosophy, and celestial calendar with anyone who would listen, and quite a few who wouldn't. Turns out, you can take the Zoroastrian out of Persia, but you can't take the Persia out of the Zoroastrian. So what's the takeaway here? Empires rise, fall, and rebrand. Religions shift from grassroots movements to political megaphones. And when cosmic order gets too orderly, people start walking. But every refugee carries a story, and every displaced belief can plant new roots. So next time you hear about a spiritual movement or a faith in exile, don't roll your eyes, roll back the history. You might just find a fire temple hidden in the most unexpected places. Share this story. Keep the flames of curiosity burning, and maybe light a candle for Ahura Mazda, just in case. Here's the twist most people miss. The rise of the Sassanid Empire wasn't just about power, it was about identity, about reclaiming something ancient, polishing it up, and projecting it across an empire like a divine PowerPoint presentation. But in doing so, it set off unintended consequences. Opal fled, but took their light with them. Zoroastrianism didn't fade, it evolved. Across continents, through exile. It became a traveler's faith, a diaspora story wrapped in fire and philosophy. And that's the real legacy of Ardashir's empire. Not just temples or thrones, but the spark that refused to go out. No matter how far from home it roamed.